everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in to the Jits Guy podcast. I'm super hyped up for my guest today. You're going to see why. And if you haven't checked out my Instagram story post, then man, you're in for a surprise. Please, guys, give it up for my guest, Michael Mihas. Kalimera, Michael.
Kalimera, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Tikanes, hola kala.
Hola kala. Oh, you speak Greek?
Ore aligo, ne?
Oh, bravo. No shit. That's awesome.
This is what I meant. We have more in common than I realized. Because when I started researching you, I'm like, man, my homie, he's got Greek blood. So I'm excited to talk to you. You've got the best of both worlds. You're in America. You're a hard worker, a person that drives for jiu-jitsu and health and fitness. And you're also Greek, man. How can somebody not love you?
That's true. So let me ask you a question. How Greek are you? Like 50%, 25%? What's the percentage?
0% in blood, 100% in heart. So
I love it.
My parents are not Greek. My family, I'm Palestinian in origin. But ever since I was a kid, every summer we're in Greece. And I work in Greece. My business is in Greece. I'm between the UAE, Abu Dhabi, and Athens, Greece.
Nice. My house in Greece is about 40 minutes from Athens.
Ooh, okay. So where are you guys from in Greece?
So my father, God rest his soul, he was from Loutraki, Greece, which is about 40 minutes. And my mother, she's from the island. She's from Chios, Greece.
Wow, man, Chios, the best.
I got a little mainland, a little island in me.
Oh, so, man, that's amazing. That's a perfect mix. And do you go often?
Last couple of years I haven't been able to because of work. My children are getting older. I used to go every summer.
Wow.
And I would go for 3-4 months every summer. But once I got married, had the kids, got a lot of the kids of my kids' sports and stuff. I really don't have that much time. And I was going to go this summer, but unfortunately we got the Rona got us. So hopefully next year. I hope everything gets better. We can go next year.
Man, the Rona got all of us. It's been a hectic year for everybody. Jiu-jitsu, sport, health, everything. I'm seeing on chat on YouTube. Can you hear me properly, Michael?
I hear it's a little buzzing a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's a little buzzing.
I'm sorry about that. Let me just, I gotta set it up real quick. Hold on, guys, on YouTube. I'm sorry.
I'm a good lip reader, so don't worry.
Okay. My Greek isn't that good, so if I speak Greek, then I'm gonna read shit.
It's all right.
All right, give me a second, boys, while I fix this.
It's clear now.
It's clear?
Yeah, it's clear now. Now you're crystal clear.
Oh, fucking amazing. I was worried, man. First time this happens. All right, perfect. So I guess everybody on YouTube can hear me fine as well. Let me know if it sounds good. Sorry for the interruption. Corona has really changed everything, and you're the right man to talk to, and we have a lot to discuss when it comes to what it did in the last 7 months. Like, our whole worlds have changed, and everybody has either used it as an excuse for good or an excuse for bad, right?
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, a lot of people have used it for an excuse for bad, and not just for personal reasons, for political reasons, for financial reasons.
Yes.
I think it showed what it started out as and what it became. It became a big political, talking point. It made people hate each other. I remember when 9/11 happened, how many years ago, and especially in America, especially people all over the world, they came together, and there people weren't. Of course, you have your racist people who blamed all Middle Eastern people for 9/11. Then you have the real people like, no, it's just bad people,
Yep.
But something with this disease, either we made everyone bad or we made everyone good if you were on either side of it. And I think that's the ugly part of it. I believe a virus like this should have brought us all together. Like, let's work with each other. Let's help each other. Yes, people are vulnerable to it. Some people aren't, but it seems like we took a stance and we went one way or the other, unfortunately.
That's true, man. Like, I always thought about it, a hypothetical scenario. I'm like, okay, there's always been wars. There's always been us versus them. Like wherever it is, country, US, Russia, US, China, whatever it might be. I'm like, what if aliens come? Then what? Do we bond together, or do we like, oh, it landed in US, that's US's problem? Because if aliens come and they want to kill us, it's everybody's problem. Then I'm like, Corona, maybe this is the alien that we need. But we started blaming each other again.
Yeah, it's sad. It's just, I think people were looking for something, and I think that was a tipping point, especially here in America. I don't know if you follow American politics. We are at the tipping point over elections coming up November 3rd between Trump and Biden, and I have friends on both sides. Like, I consider myself more like middle of the road. I'm more libertarian. Yes, I have some conservative views. I have some liberal views. I have a mixture of both. But it's gotten so ugly. I can't even talk. I don't even want to talk politics with other people because it's either they'll misconstrue. It's almost like some of my posts. They'll misconstrue what I'm saying, and they'll be like, "Oh no, he's this, he's that, he's this way, he's that way." You know, it becomes a cancel culture thing, and it's gotten so ugly. It's and I think this virus, the good parts of this virus, it's exposed who the really weak-minded people are, who the followers are, who the people who can't speak for themselves, who the people who are dependent on others. Yes, this virus has really exposed that, and it's pretty nasty.
That is very true.
People that I always looked up and go, this guy's a strong person. I know he is. Then the virus came around. I'm like, oh, you know, there's some chinks in the armor here. Why is he doing this? Why they're doing that? And it's pretty ugly.
Somehow we find or we seek shelter in the consistent, right? When we get a salary every month, when we know something is going to be there next month, we kind of seek shelter in it and we get comfortable. And the Corona kind of woke and shook our foundations up. And everybody's looked like, what's underneath me? What am I standing on? And everybody realized, most of the people realized, I'm not standing on much, and either hustled or are looking for people to blame. And that's why, like, the sad thing is, in a lot of countries around the world, even here, jiu-jitsu and things like jiu-jitsu are not allowed yet, right? So when you realize all of this and you're trying to improve it, when you go for the things that will improve your life, they seem to be blocked right now. You know what I mean?
I agree 100%. I remember as soon as the virus happened, I got together with a couple of my buddies and I'm like, look, we're going to make a pact. We're only going to train with each other until this gets better. Nice. I was already thinking in advance. I already saw where it was going. Smart. And then I got with other of my buddies. I'm like, hey, I see the stock market is really low right now. Give me some ideas on good stocks to buy right now. And I that's how I've always been. I'm always preparing for the future. I don't care about what's happening now. I don't care what's happening tomorrow. I don't care about what's happening 2-3 months down the road, a year down the road. So it's stuff like that. And I was training with the same guy. We were sick of each other. His name's Chris Miller. We were for like the first 5 weeks. Me and him were just training. It was just we were sick of rolling. We knew what we were doing. It was just the same thing. But I knew that I couldn't just sit at home. Yeah. I couldn't just sit at home and be like, what am I going to do? I had to find a way. And I'm like, look, you're not going to train with anyone else. I'm not going to train with anyone else. I know who I'm going to be with. You know who you're going to be with. Let's make a pack and let's only train with each other. For like 4 or 5 weeks there, I only trained with one person. And then I was seeing what was going on. I was looking at, data, statistics, what was happening. I was like, okay, this doesn't seem that bad there. They're coming with new information. It's not that bad if you're healthy. If you're in this, demographic, it's not that bad. If you're in this age group. So I was like, you know what? I'm in better shape. I'm going to push to train with some more people. And now I'm pretty much training with everyone, so it's just, it is what it is. But now if I get sick, it is 100% my fault. Yes. I do know there is virus out there and there's nobody to blame. If I do get it, if I give it to someone else, if I give it to an elderly person, it's going to be my fault. But I do my best to make sure who I'm around. If you follow me, I'm training all the time. Yes. But I make it known that if I do get sick, it's my fault. And if I do get someone else sick, it may be my fault. But I also tell people, look, like my mask. Speaking of masks, so when I go to the grocery store, I wear my mask. If I go somewhere where there's people need to go, like essential place, I wear my mask. But if I go to like my son's ball game, I don't wear my mask. That's not a necessity. You don't need to be there. If I go to the gym, I'm not going to wear a mask while I'm working out.
Yes.
That you choose to do that. You could do the same workout at home. You could, you know what I'm saying? There's certain things, like a single mother needs to go to the grocery store, get her milk. A lady that lives by herself, who's she's going through chemotherapy. She could see me without my mask and start freaking out. So places where it's essential, I'm going to wear my mask. I'm going to give that person the common courtesy. But somewhere that's not, somewhere that I don't consider essential, I'm not going to wear my mask. I'm just not going to.
It's kind of strange, and let's open the can of worms, because I know, like, I know topic by topic, I'm gonna give you something to rant about, and that's what people know you for. Yeah, but
I ran. Sorry.
Oh man, I love it, bro. I love it. So, how do you feel about people training jiu-jitsu wearing masks?
You know what? If you're in agreement with your partner, and somehow I don't know how you can keep a mask on doing any kind of grappling. I don't care whether it's judo, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, MMA, whatever it is. If somehow you can keep a mask on and get a legit workout training, I support you. Go for it. If it makes you feel better. And if your training partner wants to wear a mask, go for it. Now, as for me, I'm not going to wear a mask when I'm training. Yeah. It's if I need to get that physical workout, like I said, I found someone, I'll do it. And if you're so worried about it, wear your mask. But if it does come off when we're rolling, it's not my fault. It's just It is what it is. I would rather, if you're wearing a mask, I probably just won't roll. I would tell you know what, I don't want to roll with you just because I don't want to be my fault that your mask came off.
Makes sense.
You
Yeah, you can do
you know,
drills. You can do like different things.
I respect anyone's decision to do anything.
Yeah,
you know,
I got you.
But stuff like that, it's just like, it's almost like, I don't know how to say it. It's again like people are trying to prove points now. Like, what can I do with the mask on? You know, and then we're doing that virtual. We're trying to one up each other. Oh, I can be more virtuous than you. I can be more. Look. I'm training with my mask. You know what's that? You're gonna go swimming with your mask on. You're gonna go underwater with the mask on and suffocate. Makes no sense.
You hit the nail on the head. Everybody is trying to be more virtuous. Like there's the people that don't give a fuck at all, but there's a lot of people out there that are trying to be more virtuous and show that I'm doing this and that. It's not about that. Like it's about being realistic. We're doing things. Man, I thought we became more advanced as a civilization, right? I had hopes. I'm like, man, look how far we've gotten in medicine and science and technology. Look at the iPhone, everything. And then Corona hit. I'm like, man, we're still in the Stone Age. Like we're so stupid. Like there's things that we're doing that don't make sense. Like for example, this mask while exercising. It's like we forgot how the lungs work. We forgot how oxygen and carbon dioxide work. But you know, we live in a strange world. And sometimes we need people like yourself that are brutally honest and give us the reality of both sides of the coin, like you just did with this example. I want to understand, where did this come from? Were you always like this, or did you develop this in time and life with experience? How did it work for you?
It's a mixture of both. I lost my father at a young age.
I'm sorry.
And
okay.
when I lost my father, it had a very profound effect on me. I would blame other people for everything. I was very disobedient to my poor mother. I wouldn't listen in school. I would treat people bad. I would treat females very bad. I would just everything. And the excuse was, well, he lost his father young. And then older males would actually, they reinforce that. They're like, let him do that. You know, he lost his dad. You know, we'll just let it slide. And instead of some adult coming over and just beating my ass, going, no, you're fucking up. What you're doing is wrong. But you're disrespecting older people. You're disrespecting your mother. What you're doing is wrong. You're vandalizing stuff. You're doing stuff like that. You know, they were just, instead of just dealing with it, they were just like, you know what? You know, he lost his dad. You know, it is what it is. You know, so it's so as I got older, it just got worse and worse. And then in my mid 20s, I discovered the UFC. I watched a UFC video and I saw UFC 1 and I got obsessed with it. I got so obsessed with it. I had no fighting background that after watching UFC 1, 3 weeks later, I was in a cage fighting with no experience. Absolutely no experience. I went to Iowa and fought in a cage.
What was your mindset? Like, was it death wish, or did you just have that much confidence in yourself?
I just really liked it. I was amazed by what Royce Gracie did. I was like, this guy is not that big and he's doing some amazing stuff. And so so I rented it that night. And then that same night, I went back to the video store and rented UFC 2, 3, and 4. Those 4 were out at the time. Yeah. And this is amazing. And I kept watching it. And at the time, like my AOL mail, I'll show you. But when I had the same email address, I started looking up stuff about the events. And at the time, only UFC 5, only 4 was out on VHS, but 5 had already happened. And there were a couple. It was called Full Contact Fighter. I don't remember that website. It's an early 90s MMA website. It was before Sherdog, before any of them. They had events that would go on, and there was events in Iowa. Oh, nice. And I was like, I want to do this. And my friends were like, maybe I drank a lot back then. I did a lot of drugs. We're like, and I was like, I want to do this. They're like, you don't even know what you're doing. I go, I'll just keep watching off the tape. So I would take friends of mine who knew nothing about fighting. I was practicing arm bars, chokes, all this stuff. I even have pictures of me doing this stuff. Have nowhere to do. And 3 weeks later, I drove to Iowa, no experience, and I got armbarred in like 40 seconds.
Was he a jiu-jitsu?
What's supposed to happen?
Was he a colored belt or something? Or
no, he was a very advanced person. He's his name's Brett. I'll send you his link later. He actually fought. He maybe had like 30 MMA fights at the time. Wow. But back then there was no. I wouldn't say it was sandbagging, but back then you just showed up and you fought. It was, we didn't call it MMA back. It was called NHB, no holds barred. So if you showed up to fight, the promoters are like, all right, come fight. If you're crazy enough to come fight.
You want to do it, do it.
But after that is when I got obsessed with it. And is when I found the Grace Academy in Cleveland. I started going there in 1997. And then I just got hooked. And then I just got hooked on it. And that training, that evolution of being someone who'd always make excuses, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu taught me that No matter what excuse I use on the mat, it's not going to help me.
Yeah.
No matter what I did, when I'm on the rawness of being on a grappling mat, whether you're wrestling, doing jiu-jitsu, judo, any kind of grappling or MMA, you cannot hide. You're by yourself out there. So any excuse I could make. Yeah, I lost my father young, but that's not going to stop him from choking me. Yeah, I went through this at a time, but that's not going to stop him from beating my ass. And it's that realization that it's all on me where I developed this attitude and this thinking. And I still develop to this day. You know, still to this day, I'm like, oh man, you're being a little bitch today. Oh man, you're fucking up today. You're doing this wrong. And I tried to pass this on to my children. And I'm like, look, daddy went through this and that. And the people who follow me, I'm like, look, a lot of people, I try to go on, like I make posts and I say I'm perfect. I'm like, no, use my posts of what not to do, of what I used to do and what not to become. That's kind of where my mentality is and stuff I post. It's like, you know, I used to be that person I'm talking about right there. That's me. I'm not talking about someone different. That piece of shit was me. That lazy piece of shit. The guy who'd always use excuses. The guy who would quit on his diet. The guy who would do half-ass workouts. That was me. You know, and I still struggle with stuff like that. But I make it better every day, every single day. And it's something I hope till the day I die, I can get a little bit better every day.
I love that mindset. And you reminded me, one of the Beastie Boys. All right, when he was, he used to slander women, right? He used to talk shit and like talk down to women. And then later on, he makes a song. And in that song, it's about respecting women. The Beastie Boys, I'm sure you know them, right? So he gets interviewed by this lady, and she calls him a hypocrite. She's like, you're a hypocrite. One day you're calling women whatever it is, and then the next day you're writing a song about women. You're just doing it for business. And his reply to her was, I'd rather be a hypocrite than stay the same my entire life. And that's the best answer. You got to get better in life.
You have to. And it's through these personal things. And if I can help one person not to make the mistakes I made, like we talked about, I did my first MMA fight 3 weeks after watching a video. When people message me, I tell them that's the exact thing you shouldn't do. You shouldn't do that. If you're trying to build an MMA, especially if you're trying to build an MMA career, the first thing you should do is a grappling match. Do a kickboxing smoker. Do a boxing smoker. The last thing you should do is walk into a cage. And you know, people that first get into the sport, I want to do a cage fight. That's their first thing. Yeah. And I tell people, they're like, well, you did it. I'm like, yeah, but look what happened. I had to get my ass kicked for like 10, 15 years just to understand what was going on. Now I'm telling you, there's so much. If you want to become a good MMA fighter, a good jiu-jitsu grappler, a sports jiu-jitsu grappler, whatever it is, there's so many other pathways to get a better way, less injuries, be more financially stable, have a winning record. You know what I mean? And I just use what I do as experience of what not to do and how to do a little bit better.
I think, you know, it's a lot like life and business and whatever it is the person's pursuing. You got to have the why, right? Why are you doing martial arts? And a lot of people, for some reason, when they first start, they suddenly embody a cage fighter and they think they're now this cage fighter. The why for most people is not to be an athlete. It's not to be a cage fighter. It's like a lot of your posts. It's to be able to protect yourself, protect your family, be healthier, be fitter. That's the goal. You know what I mean? What was your why when, like, okay, first 3 weeks cage fighter, and then what was your why?
Well, then the why, then I was still fighting my demons of, you know, having, you know, lost my father, having been a rebel. I was trying to prove myself as I was fighting, that I got into MMA more. I got into jiu-jitsu more. And the first couple of years, it was my ego. It was all ego driven. Now they say you leave your ego at the door. With me, I brought it with me. And it was all about how hard I could go, who wanted to fight. And back then we did a lot of challenge matches. So if there was a box in the area, I'd be like, okay, let's go to my house. We'll fight in the backyard. Come to my garage and we'll fight. It was all about ego back then. Wow. You know, but once I get married and had my first child, my whole brain flipped. When I had my child, my brain did something that I didn't think I could possibly do. I didn't think that looking at my child would change how I act, how I talk to people, how I treat people, how I interact with people, even the way I talk now. I'm like, if I was to die right now, my child was to read my post. Would he be proud of me? Would he understand where I was coming from? He'd be like, you know, daddy was a dick. You know, daddy was a homophobe. Daddy was racist. You know, I wanted to understand where my posts are coming from and what each one means. You know, so I try to, everything I do, I have my children in mind. When I say get obsessed, I'm obsessed with my children. Those that's what I live for. That's what I die for. That's who I want to make sure that they're better than what I am or what I could ever be.
Man, they're so lucky to have you. And I've seen your posts. I've seen what you're doing with them. And they might not know it just yet, and they will, man. As they get older, you're setting the foundation for a beautiful life and for horizons for them. A lot of people, their foundations are very slim and thin. They build that pyramid high and it topples over. You're building a wide foundation with them, and that's the right. I enjoy seeing your posts about parenting and how you approach it. And
then it's also, I hope another parent could see that and be like, you know what? maybe I could, maybe instead of coming home
Yeah.
tired from work and sitting on the couch, maybe I'll take the kids and we'll go do some push-ups together. We'll do some pull-ups. We'll do something. We'll do something active with your kids, and you'll see how the kids respond. Because I tell parents all the time, your child might have a LeBron James poster on the wall. They might have, Messi's poster on the wall, whoever their athlete is. But to your child, you will always be their number one superstar. They might not say it, but in their mind, they want to be like you and they want to make you happy. Even if they don't talk to you, even when they're angry at you, you're their number one. They're not going to say it because they don't have a poster on the wall. You might not realize it, but you will always be your child's number one superstar.
Oh, man, that's
and you got to live up to that. You have no choice. I tell people it's not a choice. Like, it's a choice to have a child.
Yeah.
And then once you make that decision, it's either this way or that way. There's no in between. You can't be a part-time parent.
Man, for me, like as a parent as well, I look at it, and for me, the kid had no choice coming to this world. It was not his decision. He didn't choose to come to you. You brought him. You have that fucking responsibility, whether you like it or not. Man up to it or woman up to it and take care of business, The problem is, Michael, is a lot of people talk the talk literally rather than walking it. And kids, they only look at the walk. They don't care what you say. Don't smoke, but you're smoking. Good luck. The kid's going to smoke. You're right. They're your number one fan, and that's for the good and the bad. And I saw that firsthand with my kid. And honestly, man, like, for example, I get very frustrated quickly, and like, I'm a very passionate kind of guy. So when I do something, I like to do it right, and I get frustrated and tense. And I notice he's getting the same. It's not just genetically, like he's seeing how I react to when I do things, and he's becoming laser sharp focused, and he gets tense and frustrated when he works at things. You gotta fix yourself before you fix them.
Exactly. Children are mirrors. It's whatever you do, they're gonna do. And if you live that lifestyle of laziness, of excuses, they're gonna do the same thing. You see when they get older, when that child's 17, you see it when they're in their 30s. Yeah. I know 30, 40-year-old men who can't keep a job.
Yeah.
And then you find, and I ask these deep questions. If people think, I'm being rude, I'm like, how was it with your father? And they'll, he couldn't keep a job. He was a drunk. He never spent time with us. And it goes along and along. And now we live in a society where I believe men are openly attacked for being men. Yeah. Where masculinity is openly attacked, and we shouldn't. We should stick up for masculine men. For men that are wrong, we need to stick up for them. Don't get me wrong. I love strong females. I love females, especially females that have been left by a man. Yeah. They're just like, I speak to them just like males. Yeah. But we have to give men who are in a position to help other men, we have to give them the confidence. They can't be afraid to help other men. And, like I was saying that personally, I don't vote. But if I was going to vote, I would look for a candidate who puts the male figure first. Like, if you're going to have a child, there's got to be consequences, and not just alimony. That's just money. You got to be there for the child. If you have a child, you got to make it to 2 of your soccer games a week, or you get something deducted out of your check. Some kind of punishment where if you're willing to have a child, there's more than just financial, And
it's interesting you say that, because whether with the presence of the parent or the absence, it impacts the child. It takes two parents, you know what I mean? Like, and the presence or the absence will impact their future. In your case, the absence made you more driven and makes you the father you are today, right? In some people, their parent is there but absent, which is another situation.
It's almost the worst.
It is worse. That's almost disheartening, and will teach them to be absent to their loved ones as well. Man, it's funny as you get older in life. Remember, like, when you're younger, your mother would probably always tell you, like, she would make quick judgments. And you'd be like, don't judge a book by its cover. You know what I mean? But mama knew. Our parents knew. Like, when they'd see somebody, they'd see their parents, they'd see their cycle, their habit. It'll take them a few seconds. Like, yeah, that's that kind of person. And as you get older, you realize, shit, it is kind of a science to it. You can tell a person by their parents. If a person's parents are a black belt in jiu-jitsu and his mother is an Olympian athlete, then chances are the kid's going to be athletic or into sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we push that. It's just, if I had never got into jiu-jitsu, my children probably wouldn't be into the sports they were into that. They probably wouldn't have the mindset that I put them into. And I don't push my kids towards sports. The only sport I do make my child do grappling martial arts. I make them wrestle. I make them do jiu-jitsu, because I believe those aren't an option. They play other sports. They play baseball. They play football.
I like that.
Those are options. But when it comes to martial arts, that is not an option. It's just like brushing your teeth. It's just like learning to read. Martial arts is a science. It's an education.
Yes.
And children shouldn't have the option whether they want to know it or not. Because I guarantee you, when your child turns 35, he's not going to be mad that you taught him martial arts. He's not going to be mad that you taught him how to read a book. He's not going to be mad that you made him brush his teeth. Okay? Now, if you force your child to play football or something else, he gets hurt, he might be mad at you, you know?
Yes.
But martial arts is, I don't look at it as a sport. I look at it as, you know, a life essential. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I associate it as well with you as an essential for life and for that foundation, because we don't live in a society. You know what I said in the beginning about civilization and advancement, and then realizing we're not so far advanced? It's true. We think that we live in this safe bubble and nobody's going to ever attack anybody. Maybe, but our genetics, our body is still the same body 3,000 years ago. And it operates on hormones, it operates on adrenaline, and these things spike whether or not there's physical confrontation. So when you know how to fight, it tones these things down. It laser focuses you in a different way. If you don't know how to fight, then you're going to flight or freeze, which are two things you don't want in life.
But the problem is that most parents don't understand that. And that's why a lot of my posts, I'm not trying to piss parents off. I'm trying to get them to think. Now, some of it I use comedy with it. Some of it I use straightforward talk. But I let parents know that, look, tell me what parent doesn't want to protect their child. Every parent wants to protect their child. And every parent, you'll see the post. Well, if this pedophile came around trying to beat his ass, if they try to kidnap my child, they'd have to, they would need an army to stop me. Yeah. You can't even walk 10 feet without catching. You can't breathe. You're so out of shape. You can't go up the steps without having to stop and catch wind. And now you're going to beat up a pedophile. You're going to beat up people attacking your child. So I let people know that while your intentions are good, they're full of shit also too. You're not going to be able, when the time comes, you're not going to be able to be that beast parent that, that sees red and won't be able to stop. You're going to be out of shape when you walk 10 feet. You're going to fumble when the time comes. And I just let people know that, it looks good to post it on social media. There's this one post that says, if you bully my child, I hope you can fight. That's one of my favorite memes that go around. People share that one all over. If you bully my child, I hope you can fight. But you can't fight. So if you bully my child, you might not get beat up by the child's bully because that kid's probably bullying because he's getting beat up at home. Yeah,
the bully's getting practice.
It's almost like we live in this mean fantasy world where if we talk about something, we think we become it.
Yes.
And it's false insecurity where people think that, oh man, if I get pissed enough, you know how to kick his ass. No, that's not true. If you get pissed enough, you're probably going to get hurt. That's what's going to happen.
It's this fantasy that we have in our brain where we've trained. If you think about it, a lot of people daydream and a lot of people think and fantasize about their ability to fight. So in the beginning, when they used to fantasize about themselves, it was like Mickey Mouse hitting something with a hammer, and that's what they thought a fight was. As they get older, their thought and creativity process of that scenario becomes more refined and instills confidence, false confidence in them. They become masters at training in the mind. But in the physical, it doesn't match. And the first time a person steps on the mat in jiu-jitsu, and for everybody listening, is the baptism. This is where you step on the mat and then your face, the expression, man, their face, once that first roll is over, it's like, fuck, thank God I'm doing this. They realize that they couldn't survive.
It's amazing. It's I feel like every adult, maybe not every female, but every adult male by the age of 18 should have to do 1 5-minute grappling match.
Ooh, yeah.
Before they get their diploma, their high school diploma, whatever, before they can drive a car. Before they can get a job, you have to, just to understand how really weak you really are. Yeah. Or some kind of physical, maybe even an MMA fight, something where at the minute you turn 18, by law, you have to do a 5-minute, either a no-holds-barred match, a grappling match, just so everyone can go through the rest of life going, even when they're 30 going, maybe I'll keep my mouth shut. Now, I'll keep my mouth shut during a road rage incident or when I lose my temper, because I remember what happened in that 5-minute grappling match. It's like a licensed adulthood. You can't be an adult unless you do a 5-minute grappling match, which is probably why I'll never be elected president. But if I was, I'd make everybody do, as soon as you turn 18, you have to do a 5-minute grappling match.
That's the only time you would change Mr. Jiu Jitsu. It'll be Mr. President. That's the only time we'll allow it.
That's the only time. And I would only be president for 5 minutes to make sure everybody grapples. And then I can go on and go, hey, remember 10 years ago when you had to do that match I made? You remember about us?
I love it, man. I love it. You know what? Like, I live in Abu Dhabi, the United Arab Emirates, and in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, they made it mandatory for every kid above the age of 7 to train jiu-jitsu in the country.
Yeah, I know it's very big there in your. Yes, I know it's very big in Abu Dhabi.
And man, you cannot imagine the impact. It's what you're saying. Like, they're so much more humble, so much more realistic. Like, there's a lot of resistance. There's not all of them that want to do it. Sure, they're kids and everything. But the ones that do it and like actually end up sticking to it, oh my goodness, man. The options in life that open up to them, the relations, the networking they do, way outside their hopes. Like, we talk about it in self-defense, right? But it's also life defense, financial defense. It's funny, most people don't make that connection, but some of the best people I've met for work came off the mats. I travel to a country, I go into a gym, I roll with them, I train with them, we trust each other, choking, we submit each other, we get a good roll, and endorphins are flying high. What do you do? I do this. What do you do? I do this. Let's go grab a drink, and that's it. Next thing you know, we're doing business because we have a foundation of friendship that's beyond superficial.
Yeah, it's very rare in jiu-jitsu. You find some, not the beginners maybe, but someone who's been doing it over a year, 2 years. Yeah. They're usually financially stable too. They usually can keep a job. They usually have their life put together. It's amazing that the guys that quit jiu-jitsu are also the guys who can't stick with their diet. They can't stick with their work. They can't keep a job. Their relationships are bad. They financially they're doing bad. They owe maxed out credit cards. It's amazing how those people are the ones that can't stick with it. Yeah. It's just, and I say it all the time, and I'm not trying to single people out. It's just it's like through anything. There's people, if somebody does something, they're most likely to do also this in their life. If they can't keep a job, the chances are they're going from diet to diet. They go to the gym once every 6 months. It's the same thing. And it's not just martial arts. It has to do with diets, through weightlifting, through any cardio. If you cannot keep a job, you most likely won't be able to stick with your diet or with your workout routines. It is what it is.
Very true, man. Very true. I want to ask you, because, man, you're so well-versed and you can basically share your thoughts in a very relatable way. You don't overcomplicate it. Becoming Mr. Jiu Jitsu, how did that happen? Like, where do you go from just Michael training Jiu Jitsu to becoming Mr. Jiu Jitsu and trying to push people to be better?
So first of all, I didn't think of the name Mr. Jiu Jitsu, so I can't get the credit for that.
Okay.
So remember what I told you? I got the UFC one. And I got into jiu-jitsu. So I would always talk about jiu-jitsu. So my buddies would go, "Okay, Mr. Jiu-Jitsu, what happens if you go against a boxer?" And that's where the name stuck. They only called me a few times. So for my job earlier, I worked construction.
Okay.
So when I first started my project with my company, I had to travel a lot, and I had to go to a lot of gyms. And I was like, you know what? I need to make a page where I could post pictures of the gyms I go to. So if I go to that city, they'll know I'm coming and be like, "Hey, we have an open mat at this time. Come work out."
Nice.
But I didn't want to name a page after my name because I thought it looked arrogant. I wanted to be Michael Mihas athlete. No, I'm not. I'm a middle-aged construction worker. I'm not an athlete. I've competed there and here, but I'm not. I'm not some special athlete. So I didn't want to name the page Michael Mihas. I think it just sounded weird. So I was just going to use my nickname, Mr. Jiu Jitsu. It sounds funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I would post pictures of the gyms I trained at. And then what happened was, within like 2 weeks of starting the page, a guy stood me up to train, and I was fucking pissed. If you stand me up to train, it's almost like you attacked my family. It's that bad. If I'm coming to train, you don't show. I come 5 minutes early to train.
Fuck yeah, man.
That's one part where I don't fuck around. Because my time's limited, and if I say we got 40 minutes to train, I just got 40 minutes to train. So if this guy didn't come up, and I got so mad, I made a post on the It's one of the first posts. I actually took it down because I felt bad.
Okay.
And the next day I got on the page, I only had like 20 followers at the time. And the next day I saw like a bunch of people shared what I wrote, but I wrote it specifically to one guy. And I was like, that's weird. Why would people share something so specific? And people are like, yeah, I feel the same way. If I'm going to train, the guy does, and so then I was like, all right. Then I all of a sudden I had like 100 followers. I'm like, that's weird. Because I just had the page it was for personal reasons. It's just so I could find other gyms to train at. So then I was angry about something. I made a personal post. Got shared again. And it got shared again. That it starts. The next thing I know, the page had like 10,000 followers. I'm like, that's really weird. People are like, because I'm writing to one person specifically. I was angry with one person. And I was like, well, if people like my thoughts, I'll keep writing them, and it just snowballed and snowballed. And the page on Facebook just got pretty crazy after that.
I see
that. And it helped me because when I would go to cities, they're like, oh, it's the guy from the internet that makes videos from his car. Come train. Right. I was like, sweet. That's what I wanted this for. I was never trying to motivate anyone. And that's still not my goal. I like that people get motivated by it. My main goal is I need a place to train. If I'm in Dallas, Texas, and my flight comes at 9 o'clock at night, I don't want to stay at the hotel all night. I'll come to your house. We'll roll in the living room. You want to open your door? I just want to get some rolls in, And I just roll. I'll do other stuff. I'll go lift with people. I'll do a bunch of other stuff. It's just that's what the page was for. But then it steamrolled into something else, and I saw that people got into that. People started sending me direct messages. They're like, "Man, I really like what you're saying. I think the same way. I'm just not willing to post it like you are. I don't give a shit. I'll just write whatever comes to mind. And a lot of times I regret what I write. There's a lot of things I've posted that I've regretted.
Sure.
There's a lot of things like, that was a little insensitive. Maybe I went a little too hard. And I always tell people, if there's something you don't like that I posted, send me a message. I'll return messages. Sometimes I don't argue with people online, but in the DMs, I'll talk to you on the actual page. I'll post something. I won't even look at it afterwards. People are waiting for results. I'm not going to get into fighting with people. You want to have a healthy debate with me like we're talking right now? I'll do it. If you just want to troll me, I don't care anymore. Every once in a while, I'll jump into a good troll debate. I like trolling every once in a while. Gives me a nice screenshot to share. People motivates me. I'm not going to lie.
It depends on the mood.
Yeah, it depends on the mood. But besides that, that's what the page was for. It was strictly so I could find gyms to train with. Now I don't travel as much as I used to for work.
Okay.
And now I post my thoughts, and it is what it is. Some people, they get what I'm saying. Some people will misconstrue what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff I'll write something and people will take it a different way, and I'll get labeled this and that. People will try to cancel me. I won't even argue with it anymore. I don't care. You want to cancel me? Go ahead.
Yeah. Man,
if you're that weak-minded to take my words and twist it because you're thinking it's already vulnerable as it is, go ahead. Don't like me. Unfollow me. I don't give a shit.
Makes perfect sense.
I don't make any money off this anyways. I don't have a business to run. I'm not trying to sell anything. I haven't made one penny of this. I don't want to make any money on this. I just do what we're doing right now. I met you. We're talking. It's what I like to do.
Exactly, man. So you're not just the Matt Savage, you're the Instagram Savage, because you don't give a shit and you're just doing this for the passion, and that's what it's all about.
Instagram I treat Instagram like shit. So whenever I post on Facebook, I just put it on Instagram. And I feel bad. I need to give Instagram some attention too. But everything I do is on Facebook. I need to give IG some attention too.
All right. As long as it's not on AOL or ICQ, we're up to date at least with that.
I know. I'm getting a little better. I'm still a dinosaur.
Oh no, man, you got it. You got full control of the situation. Let me ask you a question.
The guitar behind you, is that a lauti?
That's oud. Yeah, it's similar to a Greek.
The Greek lauti. All right.
Exactly.
You play it?
Very similar. Yes, I do.
Awesome. All right, you have to send me a private video of you playing because
hell yeah!
I like the lauti. I like it.
Man, that's the thing. There's so many cultural similarities between the Middle East, especially like Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, with Greece. And there's this, there was a famine in Crete very early on, and a lot of people that left Crete in search for lands that's more fertile landed in Lebanon, Syria, and Palestine. And that's why in Jerusalem you have a huge Greek Orthodox community and all of this. And so most Palestinians, and I've genetically tested myself, trace back to Crete. And I trace back to Crete in terms of genetics. It's interesting, but our music is the same. Our food, our mezze, everything's kind of similar, man.
It's very similar, yeah. I was looking at it the whole time we're talking. I was like, is that a lauti? I was like,
yes, sir, man. Awesome. Sharp eye.
And you play it. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. No, it's not that I'm getting older. I'm getting more cultured, I feel. As you get older, you stop concerning yourself with the useless shit and you start looking at the things that enrich your life and make you happy with you. Not the money, not the outside, just what makes you happy. For me, it's jiu-jitsu has been such a huge part of that for me. And the thing with you, why I'm saying, why'd your post get 100 views and 100 followers and grow? You're so relatable, man. You speak from the heart. You're not factual. Facts are good, but they'll never get people triggered, whether good triggered or bad triggered. You get people emotionally invested in what you're saying. And we need some of that, you know what I mean? Because we're going through challenging times and we don't need facts anymore. If I see one more fucking number of how many corona cases, I'm going to flip. I need emotional shit. Enough with this robotic information. I need somebody pissed off or happy so I can figure out what's going on around me. So I want to talk to you a little bit, touch up on what's happening around us and with society and the foundations of what you believe is important. You talk a lot about the importance of a parent training and exercising and doing this. You talk about a lot of kids, anti-bullying. In today's world, COVID included, what do you feel is essential for people to be doing in their lives? Martial arts?
You have to find something you like. And that's just not a cliche where people are find what you love and do it. Granted, find what you love is not going to pay the bills currently, but you can also work on find what you love in the meantime. There's no reason you can't keep a job and in your other times work on what you love, whether it be martial arts, whether it be music, whether it be what you do, podcasting. There's
Mm.
all you cannot just settle for 40 hours of work week and sit on the couch. That is a dead end, and it's gonna kill you later on in life. Why not kill you right now? I tell a lot of people who are dead right now. We just haven't buried the bodies yet. There's this thing where we believe that if we work 9 to 5 or 60 hours a week, that after that we need to relax for 2 hours. We need to sit down and watch Netflix for 2 hours. We got to watch YouTube for 2 hours. Why not find what you love in your free time? And everyone has free time. I after work, like I had time to do a podcast, and after this, I'm gonna take my son to sports. I'm gonna go to jiu-jitsu later. After that, I'm gonna go lift at home, and then I'm gonna work on other stuff that I'm into. You know what I mean? There's always time. It's I believe people need to take that time. Now, I also am against the other thing where do what you love, but forget everything about everything else. Like that's not how life works. You can't do what you love and have your children starving. You can't do what you love and owe bill collectors. You can't do what you love and have your life falling around apart you. It's do what you love while you do the essential things also at the same time. Keep your job, keep a steady job. And if your job is to get a better job, then in that free time, study, educate yourself, hustle, get your side gig going. You know what I mean? It's just, I believe human beings need to do what they love, but it can't be all do what you love. Do your essentials and do what you love. You got to find that. You got to find that balance.
Absolutely true.
Like right now, how much money are you making for podcasting?
Nothing.
Exactly. Now, would you stop? You love it though, right? You're passionate about it. You're excited to do it. I can tell right now. But would you stop your job right now for doing this?
No, but I would if I could.
If you could, but you're not at that point yet.
No.
But the only way to get to that point is by doing what we're doing right now. Conversating with someone like me. That's the only way you get there. That's the only way. But you can't drop what you're doing. Like, especially in jiu-jitsu. A lot of people want to become the next, ADCC superstar, the next IBJJF champion. Well, guess what? About 2 people are going to give to your GoFund and they're going to make fun of you. You got to have your job, your side hustle, what you love. It's the only way it's going to work.
That's the thing. The concept of profit, right, doesn't have to always be financial profit. And I've been conditioning myself by force to really adopt this mentality, is that I need to be able to look at things beyond financial terms, because that's what we're being conditioned to look at life with. For me, this podcast turns a profit, in my opinion. It's just not financial. Like, to me, man, the amount of jiu-jitsu profit I've gotten, my health, I've interviewed people that have impacted my health already. And then I ended up consulting them. Like, I interviewed Dr. Julian Yin, nutrologist, endocrinologist, specialized in hormones and all these things. I go on a consultation with him. Next thing you know, man, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt. He has me on a diet. He has me on a system. This to me is worth any money, because my money will come and go, but my health won't. Meeting somebody through this podcast that gave me this path towards feeling fucking good and training twice a day and not feeling like shit the next day, this is a win, a huge win for me.
Exactly. And then also, you're still planting the seed for, if it is financial, 5 years down there, 10 years down the road.
Yes.
There it is. You did the work now. It's just things like a lot of people are expecting. That's why a lot of people don't last in jiu-jitsu, because they feel that, why didn't it happen any quicker? Why didn't it happen any quicker? It's the same thing. These people that can't keep a job. People get a job at McDonald's and they want to be the manager the next week. It doesn't work like that. You got to go flip burgers for 5 years, work the cashier register for 10 years, and then 15 years down the road, you'll be a manager. It's just like that with anything. Just like with jiu-jitsu. You're a white belt. You won't get that black belt to 10, 15 years down the road. After you've flipped those jiu-jitsu burgers, you know what I'm saying? You got choked by those
hip escapes.
You know what I'm saying? It's all the same thing. It's the process. People don't fall in love with the process anymore, unfortunately. People just want quick. And that you can tell the quick people who they are by the way they talk, by the way they act, by the way their health is, their attitude. You know who the quick people are.
Yeah,
they give themselves away just by talking to them.
Man, the funny, it's so damn true what you say. Like, if somebody's complaining about money and they're not enjoying the process of making that money, sometimes, I wish just hypothetically I can just drop $1 million on their lap. Be like, go, let's see what you do. Let's see how long it fucking lasts. Because it's not going to last.
They'll be dead by the end of the week. They'll be dead by the end of the week.
First thing they're going to do, buy the car they always wanted, go on the vacation they always wanted, and then you're like, oh no, how did that go so quickly? That's it. You cannot keep it if you didn't earn it. You will get it, it'll go away. You got to earn it to keep it.
That's it. But I know that's what they say. Most people that hit the lottery, they end up, they say almost 50% commit suicide within 5 years of getting the lottery. Just think about that. The thing that people make dreams of, if I get this, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. That you really see how dead people really are when it comes to money. I mean, money is the root of all evil, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We need it to survive. We need it for our children. We need it to create stability in our households. But beyond that, man, it is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No, I totally agree with you. You mentioned about like the hip escape burgers. And how many years did it take you to hip escape your way to black belt?
Oh, I still struggle with it. I've been doing jiu-jitsu almost 30 years. I still struggle with the hip escape.
30 years.
I still struggle. I mean, people are like, "Oh man, you've been doing this so long." I'm like, I still struggle. I still struggle every single day. I still struggle. That's why when people message me like, "Hey, I want to become a champion of this," I go, "I'm not the guy to talk to. I'll tell you the process of what you need to do to stick with it. But if you want to become a world champion, I'm not the guy to message. Go message Tom DeBlas. Go message, Marcelo Garcia. I'm not the guy. If you want to know about the struggle, I'm the guy to message.
Yes.
But if you want to become the next world champion, I'm not your guy. I'm glad that a lot of jiu-jitsu guys follow me. A lot of high-level black belts message me, and they'll ask me questions. I'm like, I appreciate it that you're asking me my advice, but I'm not that guy. And I can't lie to people like, hey, I can make you a world champion. I'm not that guy. I'll tell you about the struggle to get there.
Yeah.
But after that, you got to go talk to professionals. It's not me.
And that's the way it is, man. Like, jiu-jitsu in the end of the day is not just about competing. It's not just about being a champion. There's so much more around it. Like I was having a talk with Stuart Cooper, makes films, all of this. You can be a director for jiu-jitsu. You can be somebody who just exposes the reality and difficulty and hardships of it. You can be a podcaster. There's so many things to be a champion at. It's not just linear, you got to compete. But you're a black belt, right?
Yes.
So how many years did it take you to reach black belt?
So I was a white belt for 10 years because I was fighting MMA at the time. And in the 90s, I was going to the Grace Academy, but I didn't want to do jiu-jitsu. I wanted to do MMA. I had this crazy dream that I would be in the UFC one day.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not ready for the gi. I want to be able to punch a guy when he's holding me. But even though I would, in all my matches, MMA, I would always use jiu-jitsu. I won like 2 fights by TKO, the rest were by chokes. My MMA record was horrible. It's like 3-7. So I was never a good MMA fighter. But I was like, it's going to turn around eventually.
Yes.
And then in 1999, it was my last MMA fight. I fought in Cleveland in Ohio, and I got the amateur belt. And I was supposed to fight Sean Shirk. I don't know if you remember who Sean Shirk was. He fought in the UFC. He was early. I say he was probably around UFC 30, 40, around there. Okay. He was a middleweight. So me and him were supposed to unify our amateur belts and fight. But I went to vacation that year in Greece.
Okay.
And we were at the beach, and I saw a sign outside that said pancration. So I went into the place, and I heard about pancration from looking at it online. I knew it was kind of like jiu-jitsu. And I went in there, and I was talking to the guys and stuff, and they're like, I go, I do MMA, I do jiu-jitsu. They're like, well, we're getting ready to do a fight. Well, I'm like, I'm here on vacation. They're like, your Greek's pretty good. I go, yeah, my parents are Greek. I go, that's why my Greeks are good. They're like, why don't you come tonight and come train with us? And I'm on vacation with my friends. Sure. So I go back that night, and I roll with a bunch of the guys, and they're like, wow, you're pretty good at this.
Wow.
So I forfeit my fight to fight Sean Shirk. I stayed in Greece for 9 months. I was on vacation.
Where in Greece is this?
What?
Where in Greece?
This is in Athens, Greece. In Athens.
Not 9. So the vacation turns into 9 months and work and all of this.
And I got in trouble with the army because in Greece you can't go to Greece. You can't stay there for more than 6 months. I got in all this trouble.
Yes.
So they're like, we're starting a national pancration team because the Olympics were going to be in Greece in 2004. Mm-hmm. And they're like, we'd like you to come fight. Since you're Greek, you'd be able to fight for the Greek national team.
Whoa.
I was like, so I called my mom, and my mom's like, what do you mean you're not flying home tomorrow? I go, I'm going to stay here and train with the national pancration team. My mom's like, what the hell is pancration? I go, it's from us. I go, it's an ancient Greek form of fighting. She's like that MMA stuff you're doing? I go, kind of. So the only thing in Greece you wear it was like a gi top.
Okay.
A gi pant. There's no slit in the middle. It's the gi uniform, but it's full clothes. Yes. So I sat there and I fought a couple local tournaments. I won all the local ones.
Wow.
Then I won the European Championship, and I won the World Championship. But the fights were you could see a couple of the fights online. They're very easy fights. They weren't like, and I was like, why am I going to go back and fight Sean Shirk, who's probably going to destroy my fucking face? Yeah. This was way better. So I stayed there for 9 months, and I competed there for 9 months. Yeah, it was insane.
Love it. What a story, man. Like you were a Greek champion for a while in your life.
It was. I was a world champion, actually.
A world champion.
But the competition, let's be honest, it's like my old MMA fights. It was not there. Like, yeah, I did win a lot of MMA fights. Even my old jiu-jitsu matches back in the day. Yeah. I used to win a lot by leg locks before leg locks were really advanced. And I tell people, yes, I won a lot of matches, but people didn't know. If I was to compete now, I competed 4 years ago, Fight to Win.
Okay.
And I went for a leg lock on the guy leg locked me, you know? And I would never get leg locked back in the day. It's just, the leg locks are so much more advanced now. It's just,
it's its own
so
science.
I tell people, I was able to win a lot in the 90s or 2000s because I'm against people that they weren't in the know yet. Some were just wrestlers, some were straight jiu-jitsu guys, so they didn't have enough wrestling back. There was always an advantage to when I won. I was always had the upper experience. I had to let people know, I may have won that match.
That's beautiful.
Here's A, B, and C. I also knew this and that. I knew he couldn't do that. Like when I fought the Spectration matches, I fought a karate. I knew all I had to do was take him down. I knew he couldn't defend a choke. Or I'd fight a wrestler. I'm like, I'm going to full guard and triangle choke him. So it was always to my advantage. So let's be honest. So it's
you know what's like you're saying it was to your advantage, but they're still human beings. I don't care if it was 20 or 30 years ago.
Oh, and I lost a lot too. A lot of times it backfired.
Yeah, but I mean, until today, it still applies. People that are not in the know, which still are the vast majority, they don't stand a chance against somebody who trains jiu-jitsu.
Which is why I tell people that in a street fight, and when you're defending yourself against the average person, it doesn't matter if you do sports jiu-jitsu and you've never been punched before, you're still going to win. It doesn't matter that all you've done all your life is just freestyle wrestling. You're still going to win against the average human being.
Yes.
Especially if 7 out of 10 violent altercations end up in a grappling scenario. You might not even end up on the ground. You might be pulling the guy's shirt, the hair. You might tie up with the guy. If you don't understand how to grapple another person, if you can't wrestle another human being, most likely you're gonna lose unless you get sucker punched, you get jumped, or there's a weapon you get shot or stabbed. If you have any kind of grappling experience and you're consistent with your training, you will win against the average human being.
Agreed.
It is what it is. There's nothing that could substitute grappling. I don't care what you do. You can go run. You could be a high level, CrossFit athlete. If you never grapple with another human being, it's not going to help you, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I've seen it time and time again. High level CrossFit, high level rugby athletes that come in fresh white belts, and it's not. I wouldn't call it traumatic, but like I said, like it's an awakening when you realize that nothing you've athletically done compares to a real grappling scenario. And most people, when they panic in the fight in a street, they'll grab you, they'll hug you, they'll clinch, and that's what you mean. Like, it doesn't have to go to the ground as most people think. I believe it's
in our DNA. Grappling is in our. I tell people, if you don't believe grappling, wrestling, another human being is in our DNA, go watch a street fight. And as soon as the guy starts losing, what does he do? He tries to bear hug the guy or tackle him. It's in our DNA. Our body knows that grappling is the safe zone for fighting. It's deep somewhere in our DNA, our caveman DNA, that says if you start losing a fight, get a hold of the guy. That will limit his punches. That limits the damage. So grappling is in our DNA. So everyone should grapple. It's in our DNA. We don't know it yet because we're not getting in street fights consistently because we've all become civilized human beings. But back then, I guarantee the cavemen were all grappling.
Man, have we become fucking civilized? Like, not to open a whole can of worms now, but I mean, have we become civilized? Because if we're not fighting anymore, then I don't think we're civilized. I think people who don't fight cannot possibly be civilized, because there's this amazing quote. It's, what was it? Power is... Oh, what was it? It is if you're not dangerous. Okay, so they're saying if you cannot fight, you're not dangerous, you're harmless. And a lot of people think that they're dangerous, but they've never fought before, which makes them dangerous verbally. It makes them dangerous financially. Most people behave and walk the streets like they're the boss, they're the superior being, or whatever it might be in that situation. But the reality is they're not. People need to fight to be civilized.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I believe people who do any kind of like workout that has, that stresses the body are always mentally better. You never see, it's always the people getting in fights that don't fight. People that get a road rage incidents, people getting stuff like that. It's people that don't ever put their body under extreme athletic pressures. Like if you're not sweating every day, there's something wrong with you. If you have to find a way to sweat every day. I believe that 100%. When I go on vacation, I always find a time to work out. No matter what I do, I find a way I work out every single day.
Yes.
And I believe it helps with that whole mindset of how you interact with other people. If you have a short temper, if you work out every day, it's going to curb your temper. If you're quick to anger, if you're quick to your tongue is quick to spite someone back. If you work out every day, you'll see working out every day curbs it. It curbs the douchebag out of you.
Very true, man. Listen, I know you got to go pick up your kid, and I appreciate your time here. I just want to ask you one last thing before we go, because you're always someone that seems to be thinking of, like, your writing's excellent. You've gotten so much better in time with your Twitter posts and everything. So I'm sure you're always thinking of themes.
Except my grammar. My grammar's pretty bad.
Oh, really? Man,
I get nailed on my grammar. But it's okay. It's okay.
It makes it real.
I dropped out of college, so.
Hey man, listen, I have my own spiel about that thing. We can talk about that. Education is overrated. What you're doing is the real education. What is the theme that's been in your mind recently that you're trying to vocalize to people?
It's parents with the false sense of security that they can protect their child with the times when the time being happens. And I've always post videos. I try to make thoughts that will make them think that, look, you might be thinking this way, but look what happens in real life. Look what's going to happen in real life. Look at this video here. Look what this person did, and look what happened. Look how this person was thinking. Look at their train of thought, and that's why this ended up being not working out for them. They thought they could do this because they lived this lifestyle. They grew up in this lifestyle. They believe this way of thinking, and look what happens in real life. And I know I'm not going to convert everyone, but if I get 1 out of 1,000, I'm happy.
Ooh, that's a life saved.
When I get people send me troll messages. People are like, I like your page. But when I get that one message, you know what? I thought you were full of shit, but you know what? You're right. This happened today, and I knew I couldn't protect myself. This guy cut me off, and my blood started boiling, but I knew I couldn't defend myself. My child said he was bullied, and I couldn't show him how to throw a punch. I went through this, and I couldn't do this with my child. So I just hope 1 out of 1,000 gets what I'm saying. That's all I care about.
Man, I'm with you, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more people that are with you on that. I appreciate your time, everything that you said. I hope people listening can take this home, go try out jiu-jitsu, go try out wrestling, grappling, anything, and then hit Mr. Jiu-Jitsu with a message. Thank him for all the inspiration.
Go for a walk. Go sweat a little bit. Go run in place. Don't even worry about small. Just do something to get your body to physically struggle.
Yeah.
Do jumping jacks for 5 minutes. Do something instead of just sitting on the couch. And you'll see that 5 minutes becomes 10 minutes. That 10 minutes becomes an hour. That hour becomes a lifestyle eventually. And then message me.
That's good advice. Start simple as well. Don't start tough and then crash. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just do something to make yourself sweat for a few minutes. And you'll see it adds on.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. JJ.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate your time, man. Hang on there just a second just so I can say thank you properly. Everybody on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. I see you guys, Sharif, Lola, Ali, everybody that tuned in. Thank you so much for all your messages. I will catch you on tomorrow's podcast. Enjoy your evening, guys. Much love. Thanks, Mr. JJ.
Thank you.